Well, hello and welcome to West Wales. And I was thinking I was going to do a craft and chat. In fact, we might go back to the house and do a bit of spinning. But I'm out on my walk and everything is looking so beautiful. And in my last video, people said they'd like to know the identity of the different flowers. So I thought as we go along, I will do that. I also have a huge thank you to say to a very lovely community member. In my last vlog, I said that I had opened a fabric shop on the print-on-demand fabric shop platform, marketplace, Spoonflower, and thank you so much. Someone, well, more than one person. Several people have actually have bought some things, and thank you. I feel truly blessed, and I'm so grateful. Thank you. Right, okay, enough of this nonsense, and okay, let's have a look at the flowers. So we still have primroses with their delicate yellow petals. This is wood sorrel yet to flower. So you can see that's an apple tree, and you might think it's wild, but in fact we have a bit of a guerrilla gardener who sort of comes along this path and secretly plants things. He's such a lovely guy. He's in his 70s, worked in very high pressure job, and at 55 decided to retire and lived on a narrowboat for a while, and now lives here in Pembrokeshire and plants, can you see the base there? Plants these trees and other things, and just sort of generally looks after this footpath. I mean, nobody asked him to, he just does it. And I'm just going to show you red campion. Beautiful, beautiful flower. I don't think my pictures are going to do them justice, really. And the native bluebells, I mean, they're just so beautiful. What an intense colour. Lovely. Good old Herb Robert. I mean, it's a really good indicator of what will grow in your own garden. If you look and see what wild plants grow, then this is a member of the geranium family, the real geranium, not pelargonium, and it grows really well here. So note that, and then grow cultivated real geraniums in your own garden. Well, that's my plan anyway. So we still have wild garlic in flower all over the place. It's such an incredible plant. I mean, if you get it in your garden and you don't want it, it's a little bit invasive. But in the woodland, which obviously is its home, it's just wondrous. That dainty little beauty is stitchwort. So pretty. And down here we have the very delicate dog violets. So obviously this is a woodland environment, so the flowers are very woodland type of flowers. And Pembrokeshire is famous for its coastal wildflowers, and I will take you to the coast when it's not a bank holiday weekend, because it's a tad busy. So sort of in a few days' time, when the holiday makers have gone back to, I don't know, Cardiff, London, wherever they come from, and I'll take you along the coast, because we are, you know, we're really going to start having some of the loveliness on the coast. Anyway, we'll carry on. Sorry, I've got hay fever again. Not quite sure what's set it off, but you know, there is a lot of pollen in the air. And there we have the humble but oh so pretty cow parsley. And it is, of course, an umbellifera. And it's such a structural plant. It's just so lovely. Down the hill we're going to go, and down the bottom of this hill is a sort of little slightly marshy patch, and there's some lovely yellow marsh flowers down there. So when we get to the bottom of the hill, I will show you. So there it is, and I've in fact forgotten the name of it, so I'm going to look it up when I get home. I'm not going to go any further. Millie is paddling about in there, and she's sort of up to her ankles in it, so I know if I stand on that, I will be up to my knees in it. Time to go back to the little blue bungalow, and I'll see you back there, probably in the echoey conservatory. So we're on the way back, and I just thought I would show you what my dream cottage is, which sounds a bit crazy because I really like where I live, and Andrew and I were discussing how actually we really don't want to move ever, be taking us out in a box. We love where we live. Anyway, when I was thinking about where I wanted to live, in my head I had a picture of this property I'm going to show you in a minute, and you might think that it would be traditional Welsh stone cottage with a slate roof. No, not at all. Anyway, I'll show you when we get there. So this is a 1920s little bungalow cottage, and it's made of non-traditional construction materials, so you actually can't get a mortgage on it. And although we didn't need a mortgage, it was just a little bit too expensive for us. Well, we're back in the echoey conservatory, and it's quite nice outside but quite windy. Otherwise I would be outside spinning. And well, actually I'm not spinning, I'm plying. I've got some of the castle milk moret that I span up probably 2 weeks ago now, and it's not the stuff I span up and did the video from. I then went back and span the rest of what I had, taking into consideration the advice that people had given me, and I did actually spin long draw. Well, my version of long draw, which I have to say is getting better because I'm spinning it a bit more. I've noticed with a lot of these rare breeds that I'm spinning, actually long draw really works for them, so my long draw is getting a bit better. Anyway, I'm going to change the camera angle and just show you what I'm doing. So I'm recording this on bank holiday weekend, so I hope you are having a marvellous bank holiday. And it's been really busy here. I think there's been an event on the seafront. I do tend to avoid it when it's that busy. And we've done lots in the garden, and our little blue tits have definitely got a family that's hatched because they're in and out of the nest box feeding them. Andrew got a great action shot of one of the parents just flying out of the nest. I want to try and set up a camera in there so we can actually see what's going on. I think it'd be really great. That's the second year they've been in there, and it is fantastic to have them nesting there. We've got a really tame robin that's in the back garden as well, and I think he must be feeding, or she must be feeding, a brood, because she's completely ignoring us, even ignoring the dog. I mean, really, I would have thought that a robin would be a bit wary of the dog, but no, not at all. She's just carrying on. And of course I've been digging and planting, so she has been gobbling up all the worms and little invertebrates that are being uncovered as I dig about. Now, I did say that I was going to make a video about dyeing with turmeric, and quite frankly I really need to get some projects finished before I do any more new projects. So I had 2 bobbins that needed flying, well, hence what I'm doing now. I've got Gotland that needs to be finished. I've got the dog's blanket that I need to sew up. I want to do some more weaving. I've got the next in the series of the rare breed spin-off that's got to be filmed. I've also got wool sort of in process, so I was scouring wool a bit earlier today, and I've got some drying because it's a nice drying day. So it really needs to, yeah, I need to just stop and finish a few things before I do anything else. Oh, I also potentially need to concentrate on what I'm doing. So the bees are, yeah, bees are really good. So I have been up to the bees since the last time I spoke to you about them, and they were on 6 frames. I can't remember if I told you that. Anyway, I had brood on 6 frames. I've got spare hives up that way, a spare hive up there and a spare nuke up there, so that when it comes to splitting time, which I think could be this week, I've got all the things I need up there. So I spoke to our landlord, I mean, the place where we keep the bees. The rent is 1 jar of honey for each hive, but actually if we've got a bit more, we give them a bit more. And yeah, so I spoke to him, and he'd been watching them, saying they've been really busy. They're still bringing in dandelion nectar and pollen, which is a really good sign. The hawthorn has just started, which is their sort of next big nectar flow, is the hawthorn. You get a thing called the hungry gap in June quite often. I mean, you get it in the garden, but the bees get it as well. So they had about 3/4 of a super full of honey. Now, it might be tempting to remove some of that honey, but because we get the hungry gap, and some years we get it quite badly here, then we will have to be very cautious about taking their honey off them. And if they fill more than 1 super, then we will take some frames of honey for spring honey. But if they don't, we won't. We will leave it for them, because we don't like to feed our bees with sugar syrup, which is what a lot of commercial beekeepers do, is they take off a spring crop, and then if the bees are looking like they're going to be a bit hungry, they give them sugar syrup. So I bet you didn't know that. And in certain places, particularly the Far East, where a lot of honey comes from, they just feed them sugar syrup and sell it as honey. So you just have to be very careful about where you get your honey. So I've had a busy morning this morning. I was talking about the fabric design, and I can upload 50 designs a week, which sounds like an awful lot, and I was like, oh my goodness, I shall never do that. However, because I'm trying to work in collections, by the time I've done a hero print, a scattered hero print, different colourways, different scales, then blenders, solid colours, and different scales of the blenders, I've got to an awful lot of fabric. And I'm at 25 already this week. So I think it's going to be, yeah, it's not quite what I thought it was going to be, if that makes sense. So I've got a request for some more florals, and certainly I am just going through my sketchbook, seeing if there's anything that's suitable. I'm kind of wanting to do some autumn florals. I've got my lovely little sleepy fox, and he's got some fly agaric with him, but I think I'm going to also do some autumn florals to go with him. So he's going to be a pattern. So I shall do him as a hero design, as a scattered design, as a half drop repeat, as a full drop repeat. Then I'll do some blender patterns and some solid colours, and my goodness, that will be the next 25 designs done. But that'll probably take the rest of the week, because unlike working digitally, when you work in watercolour you have to remove the white background, and that takes quite a long time. And you can get programs that just do it automatically. However, if you are going to put it on a coloured background, you have to be really, really careful that you've got all the white off and any sort of little marks and things. So that is quite a long process. If I was working in vectors, and I'll try not to bore you with the technical kind of side of doing pattern repeats, but anyway, so a lot of fabric is designed in what's called vectors, which are shapes rather than pixels, so they don't pixelate, but you lose a lot of the detail, you lose a lot of the fine watercolour detail. So at the moment I'm working in pixels to keep the watercolour detail, and one of the patterns I uploaded this morning was a watercolour mallard duck. And although I had removed the background fairly quickly, I then, oh my goodness, I've got to the end of my playing. Right, yes, so hang on a minute, hold that thought. What was I saying? Right, yes, so I'd removed the background with a background remover in a program, you know, just press a button. But then when I kind of scaled in and really looked at it quite closely, there were lots of little white bits, so I then had to go back and actually kind of take them out by hand, which took quite a long time. So yeah, I'm just working away. I'm trying to really decide what my style is going to be, because I paint in watercolour, I also paint in gouache, I sketch in pencil, I do quite sort of doodly stuff, and I can also just about draw in vectors, which is sort of on the computer, and that's a new one to me. I'm getting there, but it's been, yeah, that's been quite a steep learning curve. Anyway, that's enough about vectors and pixels, and you know, because that's hideously boring, isn't it? Right, so as I'm at the end of my plying, I think the next video I'm going to be cutting my weaving and sewing it up to finish the dog's blanket. So until then, have a wonderful week. Every dog in the neighbourhood is barking. Every time I try and sit down and record a video, they have been quiet all morning. Right, let's try again. I think I'm just going to have to video with the sound of dogs bark in the background. Oh, be quiet. I know exactly who it is as well. It could be somebody be walking past his front gate. Right. You done? Come on.